Welcome back to goldfoxwealth. Let's talk money. You would never call yourself a scalper. In your own head, you are simply early. That is the word you reach for when your cousin Leo texts at 1:13 in the morning with a screenshot. 8 World Cup tickets, decent seats, a price that stings but does not quite say no. This is an asset, Leo writes, because any reckless idea starts to sound respectable once you dress it up in Wall Street language. Beside you, your girlfriend Mina is asleep, so you dim your phone the way a burglar shields a flashlight. You buy 4 tickets and then 4 more. The total lands at $7,600 before fees, and the fees arrive right behind it like a second wave. Your card pauses, then goes through, and that little approval feels oddly like a blessing. Leo promises you can flip them for double once the schedule firms up. Maybe a giant of a country ends up playing here. Maybe a superstar does. Maybe the whole city starts to ache for a seat. You stop picturing yourself as a fan. You start picturing yourself as a toll booth planted directly in front of everyone else's desire. For about 2 weeks, you feel like a genius. Prices climb on the resale sites. The online forums begin to sound anxious. People are already pleading for seats before anyone even knows who will take the field. You check the market at your desk, over lunch, in the elevator, at every red light. When your boss Karen asks whether the quarterly report is close, you say almost, while quietly refreshing listings like a man watching his own personal stock chart. The way you talk starts to change, and that shift is the first quiet warning. Suddenly, you are explaining supply and demand over dinner, even though Mina never asked for a lecture with her pasta. You assure Leo this is not gambling, because there is a real asset sitting underneath it, and he nods a little too fast. You even divide up the profit before it exists, mentally handing $2,000 to your credit cards, $1,500 to savings, and whatever is left to fun. Fun is what people call money in the last moment, before it stops being money. Then the draw turns strange. The dream matchup simply does not materialize. One of the favorites crashes out earlier than anyone predicted, and just like that, your tickets stop being golden keys. Now they are inventory. Leo tells you not to worry because the real fans always buy late. Mina asks what happens if they do not, and you get irritated because that is the kind of question grown-ups ask while the fantasy is still under construction. You drop the price, then you drop it again. The resale platform starts warning you about transfer deadlines, buyer verification, and official channels only. You read those rules more carefully than you ever read your own lease, and for the first time it lands. A ticket is not cash. It is a promise wrapped in software, policies, fees, and time. A promise can expire, and this one has a kickoff for a deadline. The match is 4 days out when a buyer finally surfaces. You feel relieved right up until the platform takes its cut, a payment delay appears, and your profit shrinks into something that looks embarrassed to be seen. One buyer cancels, another wants proof, another simply disappears. The market you were so sure would be liquid turns out to be a room full of strangers shouting different prices during a fire drill. By match day, you are still holding 2 tickets. Leo has gotten slower to answer. Mina watches you pace the apartment, phone in hand, while outside the fans are already streaming toward the stadium in jerseys and face paint. Their happiness almost offends you. They are going to the game. You are trying to escape it. At 3:42 in the afternoon, you sell 1 ticket below cost. At 4:18, you hand the last one to a co-worker of Leo's for almost nothing, because an empty seat feels like a confession made in public. After the fees, the price cuts, the stress, and the slow payments, you are down $1,900. Not bankruptcy, not tragedy, just enough to make every dinner for the next while taste faintly like math. Mina never says I told you so. She just sits across from you and asks what you thought you were actually buying. You want to answer tickets, but that is not the truth. What you bought was the fantasy of standing on the profitable side of someone else's emotion. You assumed the fans would panic and you would be there to collect. Instead, you were the one who panicked, and the market collected from you. That night, you watch the highlights from your own couch. The stadium looks beautiful. The crowd roars. Somewhere down in the lower bowl, a seat you used to own is holding up someone else's joy. You feel a strange jealousy, and it is not about the money they saved. It is that they used the ticket the way it was always meant to be used. The lesson is cold, but it is useful. Not every expensive thing is an investment. Not every scarce thing is liquid. And sometimes the person selling picks and shovels during the gold rush is not the genius in the story. Sometimes he is just another miner standing in the river, realizing a beat too late that the water has already moved on. Thanks for watching. Please consider hitting like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Tell us in the comments what you'd like us to unpack next. See you in the next one.